Makhosi.
Makhosi.
Makhosi amakhulu. Makhosi.
Makhosi. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Greetings from South Africa.
Makhosi. This is Makhosi Ngcobo. Makhosi.
And I am Makhosi Sarah. I do have a Zulu name, but we can get into that another time. Makhosi.
Makhosi. We would like to say thank you to all of you guys at Heart and Mind Festival for inviting us to this Makhosi Muvo. We also feel that it's needed. We definitely know for sure here in South Africa it's needed. Makhosi, thank you, and yeah, Makhosi Muvo.
Makhosi.
Yeah, so we are Sangomas. Sangomas, basically, it's a person of a drum, but also to be clear, there is also a healer, a shaman, also a counselor. So we kind of fall under a lot of things involving community, families, even season planting, winter, summer, spring, autumn. We just always in all of it. Makhosi Muvo. Yeah, Makhosi Muvo.
Makhosi. Yeah, and so we work mainly with the ancestors, the Makhosi. Makhosi Muvo, it's the Zulu word for ancestors. And the translation of that isn't exactly correct. So that word doesn't exactly mean ancestors. If you take it more in essence, it means the selected ones or the chosen ones, those who have been chosen specifically to work with a person and specifically to work with the Sangoma or a Zulu family that have ancestors. Makhosi.
Makhosi. Makhosi Muvo. So we see people that need help in terms of the physical sicknesses and emotional things, as well as mental instability, and just in general, counseling, especially here in South Africa. It's the first place you will go to get help, which it's been like that for many years, really centuries. Yeah, so because we tend to do most of all the things I've mentioned, so even if the person is not sick, they just feel maybe they had a dream that they didn't like or didn't understand, or anything that is in their mind that they're not able to deal with it themselves, they can go to a Sangoma. Yeah, so we deal with a whole lot of a whole range of things. Makhosi Muvo.
Makhosi. To become a Sangoma, you must have the calling, which is known as Ubizo in Zulu, which comes from your Amatlosi, your ancestors, Makhosi. And once that's been identified, then through a process of dreaming and readings and visions and dreaming and readings, you will find your teachers. And this is how Makhosi Ngcobo and myself found our teachers, and yeah, and this is how we got to be in the lineage of the lion. So our Sangoma lineage is the lion lineage, Makhosi Muvo.
Makhosi. The man that trained Makhosi Sarah, Makhosi Muvo, he was trained when he was 14, Makhosi. So we are very lucky to have him around. He's still around, Makhosi, bless him. So he's given a lot of knowledge to Makhosi Sarah and myself, Makhosi Sarah passing it down to me as well, because I was trained by Makhosi Sarah, which is a lot of people in South Africa sometimes they get confused because there's a thing that supposedly is an African person who supposedly trains a European descendant, but it's not like that. And I'm actually grateful that I was trained the way I was trained. Yeah, so Makhosi Sarah, she was my mentor. But I was lucky because she had her teacher, Baba Hadebe and Makhosi Muvo, and they were all there. And Baba Hadebe, the man that trained the Makhosi here, he's got a lot of knowledge about, let's say, history or the healing history of Southern Africa, and just stories that are related to Sangomas or healers, shamans in general. So we were lucky to have him, and he's able to share those stories, and we're able to do our work. Makhosi Muvo. So he is the one carrying the Lion lineage, Makhosi Muvo.
And then passing it down to his students like myself, and so on. And this is how we become known in terms of the lion, which is Ibubesi in Zulu. Which has to be said properly, is what I'm saying. Ibubesi. As Baba Muvo can explain, the Zulu language has a very strong sound to it, and there are certain words, like the word for lion, that have to be said with the power to illustrate the power of the lion.
It has to be. It's a lion after all. So it has a couple of names. The lion. So the Ibubesi, which is how it generally is being said. It's said Ibubesi. It carries that energy. It carries that. As you all know, you've seen lions. It has that attitude. It's not afraid. Just it's very strong, powerful. Another word for the lion is ingonyama. So that word is, Makhosi Sarah will explain also the word that we use a lot. Mostly we use ingonyama, referring to the Sangomas.
Makhosi. So the word ingonyama, Makhosi Makhulu, Sangomas will refer to each other as ingonyama. And this is all in connection to the power of the lion, but very much more in its energetic and its spiritual state, rather than its physical state. So just seeing the lion would be, like you said, Ububesi. But for Sangomas, when we're referring to each other, because it's connected to the Amatlozi, the ancestors, we are ingonyama, we are talking about that power, that determination. If there's something that the lion has, it's determination, whether it's a male or a female lion. They are known to be strong, to be determined. Makhosi Muvo. There are other, obviously, African animals in amongst the African group of the very well-known wild animals, like the leopard and the elephant, and the rhino, which also have their qualities, but this is a very specific strength or quality to the lion, Makhosi Muvo.
Of course. Yeah, the lineage that we are trained in specifically is about the lion. Makhosi. Yeah, in terms of other animals, we do wear these cloth. I don't know if you guys can see this one has an elephant, and it's so we wear all the animals Makhosi Muvo, because they're all sacred Makhosi Muvo. So there's lots of quotes from the famous teachers, including Mahatma Gandhi, about the lions, which I'm not going to quote now because it's his, but he speaks about looking at the country as animals and the people and the whole energy around. So, in terms of Africa and the lion, the animals that they have, we have Makhosi Muvo, they've been very taken care of way back because of these beliefs and the respect towards them. Makhosi Muvo. So, as Sangomas, we're also keeping that alive, and for following generations to respect these animals and also know about them in this sense, spiritual sense, of course.
And that includes the birds, which you probably just heard in the recording, that sound like mini trumpets. They're known as hardidars. In Zulu, they are called
Inkankane.
Ngangai.
Inkankane.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
they obviously wanted to have a little say while we were talking.
They always do. Makhosi. They also play a huge role, all of them. Makhosi Muvo, that's why Makhosi.
Makhosi. So,
Makhosi. That's why it's good to learn about these animals. They carry energy that is so helpful to human beings as well. Unless there's too many of them on top of your house. Makhosi.
Makhosi Muvo. So, also lions are very important in the ancient stories of the African peoples, Zulu included. But that's a lot of the African people, especially in southern Africa. And there are stories about the lion and its relationship to other animals. And those stories are teaching stories. They're stories that are passed on to the community, not just to Sangomas, but to the community, to teach how to be human. In other words, to reflect some of our human qualities back towards us so that we can look at who we are and how we deal with things, perhaps how we see ourselves, how we fit into the environment, how we fit into the land, and how we spiritually connected and how we spiritually connect all together, all of us, humanity and the animal world, every living thing that is here on the planet Earth. Makhosi.
Makhosi. Yeah, Makhosi Muvo. Also, just yeah, I think also for the creator to show how capable she in creating all of this, including us, Makhosi Muvo. And also, I always believe that animals, they help you stay sane. I put it that way. Because they're in a space that when you observe them, they teach you something all the time, and we've had a lot of animals, especially goats, chickens, like a little ranch farm sort of thing, and including Makhosi had two crows, African crows. So for me personally, that time taught me so much, even though it's something I grew up with. But at that time, I got to learn so much, and most importantly, the telepathy that animals have, how much they speak to us, if we are aware and listen. Makhosi Muvo. And I'm sure everybody knows, whoever has a cat, a dog, sometimes you hear them speaking to you, Makhosi Muvo. And that's a blessing. And that's a training to yourself, I suppose, to stay open in that sense.
Makhosi. Makhosi.
Makhosi. Makhosi.
Makhosi.
Makhosi amakhulu.
Bayede.
Ndondle nkulu.
Bayede makhosi amakhulu.
Hello everybody.
Hello everyone.
Makhosi.
Makhosi.
We're gonna do the song Makhosi amakhulu for Heart and Mind Festival, and it's called Inkonkoni.
Makhosi. And this song is sung a lot by Sangomas. It represents the wildebeest, which is the Inkonkoni. And we are connected to the wildebeest in the sense of its energy and its power and how it behaves and what it's known for doing in the wild. In the bush, if you want to call it that way. Makhosi. And it's medicine. It has a very strong medicine. And so there are many animals that are connected to Sangomas, but in this particular song, we're talking about the wildebeest, the Inkonkoni, Makhosi amakhulu.
Makhosi. All right, Makhosi amakhulu. Emzini kababa namhlanje unyakaza inkonkoni. 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 Emzini kababa. So, I'm going to leave it to Makhosi Ngcobo, Makhosi Muvo, to give you the translation of that song in Zulu. Makhosi. Makhosi amakhulu. So, Inkonkoni Makhosi amakhulu, as the Makhosi explained a bit earlier, is a Sangoma, but also originally, obviously, it's a wildebeest, which is an animal here in Africa that looks like a cattle cow, but it's got the connection to the Sangomas Makhosi amakhulu because it has that power that the Sangoma carries, Makhosi amakhulu, and it has that power to move across the land without destroying or damaging anything. It's there, but you will never really see the evidence of destruction. Makhosi amakhulu.
Of course. So that's why the song is very important, Makhosi amakhulu. And the song means Makhosi.
Makhosi. So when we say Emzini kababa unyakaza inkonkoni, we're saying in my father's house, or at my father's house, Ingongoni is moving, meaning the energy, the shaman's energy has come in. Makhosi Makhulu. So usually it's the song that we sing when the Sangoma is coming in, or to a student coming in to be trained. Also when the Sangoma is graduating, Makhosi Makhulu, because they have that ability to Makhosi Makhulu to shape shift in Ngongoni. So these are the songs that connect us to the animals. Makhosi Makhulu.
Makhosi.
Makhosi.
Makhosi Makhulu. Makhosi.
Makhosi. Makhosi Makhulu.
So, talking about the lion, Makhosi Makhulu, there's some very important things that are also connected to the lion that connect the whole of Africa. Makhosi Makhulu. As some of you might know, we have white lions in southern Africa, not just South Africa. And these are very sacred. All lions are sacred, but these are very sacred. And also connects to us with the lion lineage that we have. There's a very strong connection on that level with the lions and the star nations. And there are very many specific names and words in Zulu for the star people. And this is another important thing to know about the lion and the meaning and the sacredness of the lion all over Africa and in South Africa and with the Zulu people. The Zulu people are called the Zulu people because they are of the sky, of the heavens. And so this is also where the lion comes in that respect, that it's connected to the connection that the people have, all African peoples, but the Zulu people have, with the idea of the heavens. It's not a hierarchy thing. It's not something that makes them better than anybody else. It speaks of their origin, speaks of where they come from. And this includes the Amahlubi people who we live with, who are part of those tribes of southern Africa, Makhosi Makhulu.
Makhosi Makhulu. The lion goes a long way, the stories of the lion, Makhosi Makhulu, to the point where it also represents the sun, Makhosi Makhulu, which is something for all of us, the whole world. And that's the love of the lion, Makhosi Makhulu. So these animals are big symbolism for human beings, Makhosi Makhulu, but especially for Sangomas who pay attention to these things a lot. So we worship the lion spirit, Makhosi Makhulu,
Makhosi. And by worship, that's not in the religious sense of the word worship.
No.
It's the reverence, the humbleness, the humility that is shown to the lion as an ancient creature that has known many periods of humanity, has known many parts of humanity, going back a long way in time, Makhosi Makhulu. And this is perhaps many things, but this is perhaps Makhosi Makhulu, how we as human beings, irrespective of our nation and our race, how we can all come together around that very divine force that is the lion, Makhosi Makhulu.
Makhosi. Thank you, Makhosi Makhulu. Those are bits of a lion story. And we are happy and glad that we are in this lineage of the lion. It represents a lot for many nations, Makhosi Makhulu, across the world.
Makhosi. Ngonyama Makhosi Makhulu Makhosi.
Makhosi. Makhosi Makhulu. So in terms of our work, working with the ancestors, Makhosi Makhulu, as Makhosi Sarah was explaining earlier, ancestors, Makhosi Makhulu, the word ancestors in connection with the ancestors we work with or that worked with people as Sangomas, it's a selected group, so not everybody that passes away brings back messages in that sense. Sometimes they carry on where they need to be. But also another thing we wanted to mention is that there's also ancestors that are not related in the sense of your great grandfathers or great grandmothers. There's ancestors outside of that. Like if there was an ancient tree that is millions of years, to us as Sangomas, we would call that an ancestor. So sacred sites and things like that. So it's not always a human sort of a being, whether passed on or not.
Makhosi. And also water. I mean, water is a vital and important thing in Africa in general, with the way that the environment and the climate works here. But water is also seen as very, very, very sacred, and especially to the people, but also to the Sangomas. Water is seen as something energetic that can transform things, can hold energy in places, can hold frequencies, can hold all sorts of information that comes with the Makhosi Muvo. And this is also with the animals, Makhosi Muvo. In the old times when people were living closer to the animals than they are now, their behavior was observed. It was seen what they did, how they related to different parts of the land, and especially to water. And this is also how knowledge came about with the sacred sites that are in South Africa and for us in KwaZulu-Natal, which is where we are based. Makhosi Makhulu in the sacred mountains of the Drakensberg, or as they are known in Zulu,
Ukahlamba.
Makhosi. And this is very, very an important part. Nothing is really, really separate from each other. Just things have a certain emphasis more than other things. Makhosi Makhulu.
Yeah, Makhosi. So for us, it's very important to not forget these teachings about sacred sites, because also they can be preserved, and even studied further, not only just by Sangomas, by anyone, even the scientific community, because they hold energy and there's vortexes in there, that stabilize the land, So for us, we are dedicated into holding that sacred and keep passing the information, the knowledge to other people, to anyone who's interested in this
Makhosi. So, Makhosi, this is just a brief introduction into what we are and our connection to the lion, Makhosi Makhulu. And we are happy to have inquiries or questions at any time, however that comes about, however that may be. So we're going to say Siyabonga.
Makhosi. Siyabonga Makhosi Makhulu.
We thank you.
Makhosi.
Inhlonhlo bayethe.
Makhosi nisale kahle.
Hamba kahle. And we hope that you all enjoy the rest of the festival. Makhosi Makhosi.
Of course. And sorry about any wobbling on the video. We're gonna get better. Makhosi. Blessings. Makhosi Makhosi.
Makhosi.
Makhosi.